Girl Talk ladies. I am so excited today to bring you Jamie Fankhauser. And she is a single mom who runs a business here in Valparaiso, Indiana. Today we are in her shop. She makes soaps and so many other items, and I'm going to get to all of that in a minute. But Jamie, I have to start at the very beginning. So the day that we walked into your soap shop, you made a statement right away and said, I started asking you how you got started or something, and you said, oh, my story, it's all God. It's all God. And I just think that is the place to start. So I just want to see, like, how did you come about the soap business and running a business? And let's just start there.
Well, for sure, I didn't have any of it on the radar.
Yes.
But I did say for like 20 years, off and on, that I was supposed to make soap someday. And then I adopted my youngest daughter, Ava, and she got Hashimoto's, which is like her thyroid stopped working.
Yes.
And her skin dried up brutally. And so I thought, aha, there's my soap moment. And knew that that was why I was supposed to make soap, was for her. Well, I did. I drove to Michigan and learned how to make soap, brought it back, and it completely cleared her skin.
In a week's time, right?
In a week's time.
Incredible.
Yes. And then people started asking if they could try bars and then buy bars. And then shops found out about it, and it just spiraled into a business. And I never, ever, ever had that intention.
So do you mind sharing, I love too, Jamie, where you told your story about how you had a dream. So you made that first bar of soap, and then you had a dream, because we know dreams are powerful. We know that's how God talks to us and communicates to us. So dreams are significant.
Yes. So I was approached by a store in Valparaiso to drop off just a raw bar of soap, no packaging, nothing. And I walked it in with my daughter, Ava, and I said, here's the bar, go ahead and try. And I got back in the car and I told Ava, I'll never hear from that woman again. And a couple weeks later, I woke up that morning, and right before I woke up, I had this dream that God gave me. I knew it was God because in the dream he was speaking to me and said, go buy barrels of oil to make soap.
Wow.
And I remember sitting straight up out of bed thinking, oh my word, I'm supposed to buy, I mean, I knew it. I was supposed to go buy barrels of oil. It was like a command.
Yes.
And so the person that was there with me that day, when I walked out into the kitchen to get my coffee, I said, hey, I think I'm supposed to buy barrels of soap or barrels of oil to make soap. And they looked at me and said, well, do you think maybe you should sell a bar first? And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should sell a bar. And I opened up my laptop, and the business owner that I had dropped that raw bar of soap off to had purchased a very large, significant order. And that's when I was like, oh my word, what's the Lord doing? And then interestingly, I didn't have packaging at all. It was just a bar of soap. And I needed to develop something to make it look nice.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, I'll just do what everybody does and put like a cardboard strip around the bottom with my logo and pick a logo or something. And I had a really good friend at the time, and she came to me. She was a believer as well. And she was in marketing for some time, and she said, take this very, very seriously and don't rush into this, because you never know where God might be taking it.
Wow.
Yes.
What great advice.
And I look back, and that was the Lord using her.
Yes.
Because I just thought, oh, I'm just going to drop off these orders. This lady's going to sell it at her shop, and that's the end of that. Like I thought there was just a period, like he was done. He was finished. And then people would challenge me, what if this isn't it? And I was like, oh my word, what if it isn't it?
Right.
So.
Wow. How did you come about the name, Buns?
Buns is just a nickname that I've always had as a young adult. No specific reason. And when we were considering the name then and the logo, I started talking, I'm more sophisticated or elegant in that I wanted something more like apothecary or,
Yes.
something that sounded fancy. And my friend, again, the same woman, she said, no, you don't. You want it to be quick. You want it to be easy. You want it to be remembered. You want it to be like off the tongue, And she said, have you ever thought of your nickname, Buns? And then the soapbox part of it, I didn't really like the buns idea, but I prayed about it, and I knew God wanted me to, but he wanted me to add the soapbox because of the old soapbox that they did, but then also getting on my soapbox about things that I was passionate, including my faith or doing things more naturally. So it's kind of a play on words, and we get to have fun. Like get your buns into buns.
Yes, that is so cute.
We do some fun things with it.
Yeah, this week on Monday we were going over what we all had going on this week, and then Nick said, "Oh, Amy, we're shooting your buns this week." So we definitely had a good laugh about that one. So it's a fun name. I love it.
Yes.
How do you get creative to come up with the different variety of soaps?
So it's never ending. I mean, I could soap for the rest of my life and never make the same 2 bars. I really, truly believe that. But a lot of what I've done, so I started with just making raw goat's milk soap. And then off of that, my customers would say, hey, have you ever considered a shampoo bar? And then researching. And have you ever considered lip balm? Have you ever considered lotion sticks? Every item that I've added was someone came to me and requested it.
Wow. I know I bought the bug spray last time and it smells so good.
It is good.
Love it.
Yes, it's not stinky.
No, which most are, and sticky, and this one is not.
No, it's not sticky either.
Not at all. Would you mind sharing, because I know there's ladies out here who might be struggling with, they know God has told them to do something, and how do you take the next step to make it happen? And I remember, like I said, that day we walked in and you said, oh no, this is God's story. And how did you come about getting this house and opening your shop and kind of walk through, how could you help another woman? What would you advise them?
So I definitely never made it happen, quote unquote.
I love that.
That was really key, and it still is key to hold myself back to not make it happen, because there have been opportunities where I could have made it happen, but this is too big for me as a single mom, especially, to be doing it without the Lord ahead of me. And so I've done it a few times. I've stepped out of the hedge of his guidance and his waiting tank, and I've paid a price. And he allowed that so that I would learn it wasn't worth jumping ahead of the Lord. But I didn't have a plan. I still don't really have a plan. I don't know what I'm doing, and I try not to figure it out. I do take note in the pieces of the puzzle that he gives me, and I collect them and I put them on the table.
I love that.
And then I say, okay, Lord, I see a bunch of pieces of the puzzle, but how do you connect them?
Yes.
And then I allow him to connect the pieces, but I recognize and I pay attention to when he provides another piece, and I tuck it aside.
Yeah.
Or I lay it on the table, however you want to say it. I lay it on the table, and then I just wait until the next piece arrives. And he's building this beautiful tapestry that's not done yet. But
yes.
That's all of our lives.
Yes.
That's all of our lives. It's just one piece at a time, allowing him to bring to the table, set it down, save it, and wait wait.
Yes. I love that. So I have two thoughts running through my mind as you're saying this. Number one is the purpose that each of us have. You know, that we are created for a purpose for us, right? And then I also love because God, we were created for community with him. And if he gave us the entire picture, I know I, in my human nature, would run out and try to figure it all out. And so I love how you're saying he just gives you a little piece here and a piece here. And then it keeps us running back to, so what does the overall picture look like? What's the next piece? And how do you want to fit it in there? And that connection with him.
Clinging to him. Yes. There's no way that I could have done this without him.
No. And it's such a beautiful story with him in it. So why would we want to try to do it without him?
Up.
Right. Yes.
Right. I look around and people say, how did you come up with the idea? It's so unique. And I always say, I didn't come up with the idea. I followed the Lord's lead, and he's way more creative and way more elaborate and fascinating than I could ever come up with.
Oh, yes. And he's not going to give you something that doesn't fit to how he created you.
Absolutely.
So you are made on purpose for this. And that's
I
what's
agree
beautiful.
100%. Yes.
Love it. Do you have a piece of advice for a single mom out there?
Oh, boy. Cut yourself a lot of grace.
I love that.
I just gave advice to a dad who his wife passed away, and he became a single dad of 4.
Wow.
And he was sharing how much he was struggling trying to do it all. And, you know, it wasn't the way it was intended, right? It wasn't supposed to be this way. But we're here on earth, and so some of those things do happen. But my advice to him was to do the very best that you could at all times, and you're still going to fall short because we're never called to do it all.
Wow.
And in those areas that you do fall short, you ask the Lord to come in and repair or fill the void or take the mess and make it beautiful. And what I have found as a single mom, as many times as I have failed, it was in the failings where the Lord showed up the most, because then he gets the glory and not me.
Yes.
Where when I wasn't a single parent, I could keep it all together a little bit more.
Yes.
I could make it look a certain way, but I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So there's always a mess part of my life, but that's where he shows up. And then I stand in awe that he can take the mess and make it beautiful.
Isn't that amazing? I love that too, that he can make good out of anything.
He makes good out of anything.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what we do in our human nature. He says, I'll still make good come from that.
Amen.
What a powerful, powerful God. Okay, let's talk the business again. Okay. So buns. Who do you employ? I love this.
Yes. So I employ autistic young adults, and how that transpired with my God story is my youngest daughter is autistic. And at first, when the aha moment came and I could see her flourishing in it, I thought, oh, it's for Ava, period.
Yes.
Right? And then people started getting word out in the community. This woman started this soap shop, and she employs her autistic young daughter.
Yes.
And other moms in the community were inspired by the story, and they would either come in and say, I've always thought maybe I should try and create a business to provide my son or daughter, or have you ever considered hiring? And again, I had no idea, but there was such a huge need in the community that with tears, it took me to my knees.
Wow.
And then I said to the Lord, do you want me to grow this, to make that available to the community? And I thought he did, but I still wasn't certain so I didn't really tell anybody. I just was praying about it. And then in February, after my first year opening, no one knew. And it was a cold February morning, and a young girl came into the store with her sister, and she said, hi, I wanted to drop off my resume. And I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at the resume, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at the resume, and I knew that she was autistic. And I said, do you know my mission statement that I have been chewing on? And she said, no, what are you referring to? And then I realized, oh my word, the Lord brought her to me. She was from Florida.
Oh, wow.
And she was my first employee. And
Wow.
she still works here today. And that is when I knew that the Lord wanted it to be for others as well. And she, so in doing so, then another huge step of faith had to occur, because for me to be able to maintain the business, I needed to hire somebody to hire somebody. And so it was financially a really huge step of faith to me, so that if I needed to pull away, not always, you know, I'm able to leave in certain times. It depends on what's going on, what needs to be done, all
Sure.
of those things. But consistently, there were enough times where I would need assistance to be able to employ. And then it just snowballed. The high school found out. We started a job training program. The high school let me know of a boy that was 26 that had never been employed, and he's been working here for 3 years. I had another young man that was dropped off during school his senior year, and he's worked here for 3 years now. So it's just God continues to open the doors to bring people here for us to have.
That's amazing.
I know.
What?
It's
That's
such a
just-
God thing.
It is. I'm just at a loss of words, because what else could you say? And,
Yes.
And that's what I love. Every time you're just like, no, it's God's story. It's all God. And I think it's amazing. And wow.
It's the only way to explain it, because there's no way it's by chance. And I didn't force it. I didn't come up with it. I didn't look for it. The only explanation is God, period.
And I think it's absolutely beautiful, because any ladies that are listening right now or watching, I love that this is a successful lady who runs a business in Valparaiso, but she's not sitting here saying, I made X amount of dollars and I did this and I'm doing
No.
this. She's sitting here saying, it's all God. I just showed up and I was just yielded, and I saw the visions, and I just kept walking through what he had for me.
Absolutely.
And that is what's absolutely beautiful, just unbelievable. I think it's
It
incredible.
is. It's a great story.
It is. And I feel like it's only beginning. You know?
I agree.
Like it's
I agree.
a lot more to come, so that's exciting. Okay, I know you have a variety of soaps.
Oh,
The
goodness,
last time I was
yes.
here, I saw the one, The Perfect Man.
Yes.
Which smells amazing. And then I saw you have a popcorn one, because Valpo has the Popcorn Festival coming up. And what would be one of your favorites?
One of my favorites is not anything that anybody would probably like.
Okay.
It's two. I actually made a oatmeal stout beer
Oh, okay.
from a brewery in Crown Point. I asked the owner if I could take his Angry Betty off Square Brewery
Yes.
and add it to a bar of soap. And he gave me permission, because he was a nurse himself
Wow.
and loved, that we had that common bond between business owners. And it is the most creamiest lathering soap on
Wow.
planet Earth. Yes. So I really like the beer soap.
Yes.
And then I have a strange one that's called Green Fig,
Okay.
and not very many people like it, but I love it. So I keep making it.
For yourself personally. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that soap too, what I learned, has such an art to it. Like you don't just make it overnight. It takes a lot of planning. So for a bar from beginning to end, how long is that?
It's a lot of process in that bar. So if I soap this morning, that loaf, so to speak, has to sit and go through a saponification process for a couple days. It warms up, it heats up, and then from there we unmold it and slice it, and then it goes on the drying racks for 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
So you can't really touch it in that it needs to dry out, and then we take those bars and we have to wrap it and seal it and put our logo on it and then put it on the shelf. So one little bar of soap has a lot of little steps to get to the shelf.
It does. Wow. Where can people find you? Where's Buns located?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so our brick and mortar is 506 Lincoln Way in downtown Valpo. We're located directly across from Front Porch Music. And then we also are out at Fair Oaks Farms and Fair Oaks in 3 locations there. We're in the gas station, and they have a market, and then they have like a little cafe, they call it, and we're in there. We also are in 2 grocery stores, one in Chesterton, Nature's Cupboard, one in Michigan City. We have our soaps at Susie's Cafe.
Love Susie's. Those giant
you
cinnamon
can get
rolls.
a cinnamon bun and a bun soap.
That's perfect.
And go home happy. And then John Sanders has a market, and we're in North Judson at Main Street Floral. So just little places. I try and stretch it out so that people can find us in other places if they can't make
And
it
you're
here.
online, right?
Online. And then we do markets. Markets is another huge way to get our product in the hands of people that might not ever come here.
Right.
So we pack up at least 30 weeks out of the year. We're doing a market.
Wow. If you are at all in Northwest Indiana, I would say come to the shop in Valpo.
Thank you.
Because it's gorgeous. It's decorated so cute. It smells amazing when you walk in the door. And she has a vintage bathtub. I mean, it is truly amazing. It's beautiful.
You.
So
we are proud of it.
So stop by the shop and check it out. But ladies, just in closing, I want to encourage you to lean into what your purpose is. And really just seek the Father about why you were created, and understand that your visions and your dreams, they do hold significance. And you don't have to line up all the puzzle pieces at once.
No.
It's just like Jamie said, just keep putting the puzzle pieces on the table, and then God will keep connecting all of them. Because this was a huge connection here.
Absolutely.
That I was not expecting. I just walked in to see what the Buns soap shop is all about, and it was a lot more than I ever expected. So my life is forever changed.
Me too.
Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you.
Girl Talk ladies, we will catch you next time on the next podcast.
Thank you.
Hey friends, thank you for taking the time to listen to the Girl Talk podcast, where women encourage women. Come join us also on Instagram and Facebook, where we encourage women to live an intentional, powerful, positive, and spirit-filled life.